Hello everyone. Today I want to introduce a new template from Infinity Blocks, Infinity Skills. We all have skills we want to improve. Maybe it is graphic design, Python, a language, public speaking, or something completely different. But learning a skill is not always easy to manage. After duplicating the template, I recommend watching this video and then going to the Clean Setup option if you want to start with a fresh workspace. You'll also find the onboarding page, where you can explore the system and understand how everything works. The first thing you need to do is add a skill. For example, let's say I want to improve my graphic design skills. When I create the skill, I can define important information such as the category, status, priority, start date, target date, why I want to learn this skill, and my target performance. There is also target proficiency, which represents the level I want to reach. And then we have Proficiency Level. This is different from simply choosing a level yourself. Infinity Skills calculates your proficiency from the work you actually log in the system. Before you start filling everything in, the template asks you to think about a few important questions. Why does this skill matter to you right now? What does success actually look like? What will prove that you have improved? And how much time can you realistically give this skill? These questions are important because not every skill should be managed in exactly the same way. Once you create a skill, you'll find 5 questions that help you decide what you actually need. Do you need an online course? Is a certification really useful for this skill? Is there a project you can complete to prove your ability? How much time can you realistically practice? And how often should you review your progress? And this is an important part of Infinity Skills. You don't have to use every part of the system for every skill. For example, if you're learning a language, projects might not be useful at all. But practice sessions could be extremely important because the time you spend actually using the language is a major part of your progress. The system is flexible enough to handle that. Let's look at the different sections inside a skill. The first one is practice sessions. This is where you record the actual time you spend practicing. After a session, you simply enter the duration in minutes, describe what you worked on, and add a quick insight about how the session went. Over time, these sessions build a record of the effort you have actually invested in the skill. The next section is online courses. Many skills have structured courses available through different platforms. If a course supports your learning goal, you can add it here and track your progress until you complete it. And importantly, the system considers completed courses, rather than treating an unfinished course as completed evidence. Next, we have projects. Projects are useful when the best way to prove a skill is to actually build or create something. For example, if you're learning Python, you might build a real automation script. If you're learning graphic design, you might create a branding project. If you're learning woodworking, you might build an actual piece of furniture. Projects give you a way to move from simply studying a skill to actually applying it. The next section is certifications. Some skills benefit from certifications much more than others. For example, certifications can be valuable for technical or professional skills, while they may have little relevance to something like learning guitar. When you add a certification, you can record information such as the organization, issue date, and expiration date. And if the certification doesn't expire, you can simply leave the expiration date empty. The last section is resources. These are the materials that support your learning throughout the life of the skill. You might have books, websites, tutorials, documentation, videos, or other references that you want to keep connected to the skill. Infinity Skills gives you separate modular areas for skills, practice sessions, online courses, projects, certifications, resources, and reflections. Now let's talk about one of the most important parts of the system, proficiency. Infinity Skills does not simply ask you to choose beginner, intermediate, advanced, or expert. Your proficiency is calculated from the evidence you have built. 4 things contribute to your score: practice hours, courses completed, certifications, and projects completed. But these 4 things don't have to have the same importance. A certification can be much stronger evidence for a technical skill than it is for learning a language. A project might be extremely important for graphic design, but almost irrelevant for some other skills. That's why Infinity Skills allows you to customize the weights for each skill. You can create different settings profiles and apply the appropriate one depending on what you're learning. The levels themselves remain consistent: beginner, intermediate, advanced, and expert. What changes is how the evidence contributes to the score. Let's say you're learning Spanish. For this skill, you might decide that practice hours and courses are useful, while certifications and projects are not. So you can give practice and courses weight and set certifications and projects to 0. Now imagine you're learning data analysis. In this case, practice, courses, certifications, and projects can all be useful evidence. So the system can use a completely different weighting profile. The idea is simple. Different skills can follow different paths, while still using the same overall framework. There is one final part of the system that I think is especially important: reflections. Every skill needs a review from time to time. It could be weekly, monthly, or simply whenever you feel you need to check whether you're still moving in the right direction. A reflection is not just another status update. It's a chance to look at what actually happened. What worked? What got stuck? What changed? And what should you do next? My recommendation is not to add every skill you can think of on the first day. Start with one. Answer the questions honestly. Define what success looks like. Decide what actually counts as evidence. Log your first practice session. Then, after a week or two, come back and write a reflection. From there, the system starts to build on itself. The more consistently you use it, the more useful the picture of your progress becomes. And that's the idea behind Infinity Skills. Not just tracking the skills you want to learn, but creating a structured system that helps you define them, practice them, prove them, and review your progress over time. I hope Infinity Skills helps you build the skills that matter to you. Thank you for supporting Infinity Blocks, and I'll see you in the next one.